Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our weekly media briefing and public health update with Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili, Hispanic Public Information Officer, and joining us today are Dr. James Bridgers, who is the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, Assistant Chief Administrative Officers, Dr. Earl Stoddard and Ms. Luisa Cardona, and our special guest this afternoon is Deputy Chief Darren Franke, who's Chief of Patrol for Montgomery County Department of Police. Thank you for joining us. Mr. County Executive, good afternoon. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Many people have used the summer months to get away from their normal routines. You can tell because the Beltway is not as messed up as it usually is. If you spend time at the beach, out of state or out of the country, welcome back. Many people are back home just in time to celebrate one of the annual traditions that brings our communities together. Tuesday, the 4th, is National Night Out. Many of you already are familiar with the opportunity to better connect to our neighbors and those who serve and protect us. We can talk about crime prevention and the dangers of drugs to our families, but these block parties are also about getting to know people who show up when you need them and to make sure that they're not strangers. There will be more than 24 gatherings happening across the county that will bring together neighbors, first responders, as well as community groups. The National Night Out shows the world that we have a tight-knit community that works together to protect everyone. We saw crime decrease across the board in 2025. Gun assaults were down 53%. Carjackings were down 35%, and incidents of gunfire were down 18%. I want to thank the Montgomery County Police Department for the long hours the officers have put in. Without many hours of overtime, which can be attributed to our officer staffing shortage, we might not have seen results like this. I also want to acknowledge our business community in places like downtown Silver Spring for being strong partners in public safety. Our county council has worked with my executive team to develop county legislation that has helped us to encourage safety planning among downtown businesses. And we've also strengthened our social services network that helps more unhoused people get off the street. And we've adopted technology to become more efficient at the work our law enforcement folks do. That allows us to free up more of our limited resources to deploy more patrol officers to respond to community needs. I want to welcome this week's guest, Darren Franke, who's the Chief of Patrol with MCPD. Chief Franke, thanks for being here and to discuss National Night Out and crime in Montgomery County. It's all yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. County Executive. You pretty much said everything. The few repetitions on your end, so we appreciate the partnership. Yeah. So, as you said, we have 28 National Night Out sites across the county in all the districts, all 6 districts. And this whole effort started in 1984. It started around the area of Philadelphia, and it kind of took the country by storm. It's an opportunity for, first, one of the most important things is neighbors getting together and making those connections you talked about, so that in the neighborhood themselves, they can make connections on how to solve their problems. Because, we talk about it all the time. We're a community policing based organization, and we can't arrest our ways out of situations. We rely on our community to help us and help keep them safe and make these connections. So first you get to meet your neighbors, and then also the police stop in. I'm going to be stopping. I'm trying to hit 6 to 8 events. I know the other assistant chiefs are going to be at events, and the chief, and certainly the county executive, State's Attorney John McCarthy, our municipal police departments are also going to events. So it's a good opportunity then to make connections with law enforcement. A lot of times when we go in these neighborhoods, unfortunately, they're on people's worst days. This is a great day to get together, share a hot dog. I'm kind of partial to the ice cream that I get to have on occasion as I'm talking to neighbors and hearing what's going on in their neighborhood and giving them a face to someone they can contact, or more importantly, our district commanders and their staff, because they're truly the ones doing the work in the field. And the county executive discussed our crime rates. So 2025, our crime rates went down. It's because of these connections that we're able to make. 2026, that is continuing to trend downward in many, many categories of crime. That's a good thing for our community. And Tuesday is another opportunity for us to continue to build on a very safe community. So I would encourage everyone, you can Google, easiest way is to Google Montgomery County National Night Out 2026. I did it this morning. It'll take you to a list of where all of the events are that are registered. And you can find an event in your district and meet your neighbors and really have a good time. See some of the, I do know the county executive loved when we bring out the drones to the different events, and a couple of other of the neat technology things that we bring to the table to make our work more efficient. So at a couple different events, we'll have opportunities like that where the kids and adults, we're all kinds of kid at heart. You'll have an opportunity to see some of these tools and how we're keeping folks safe.
Thank you. Members of the media, if you have any questions right now regarding National Night Out coming up next week for Deputy Chief Franke, please raise your hands. Any questions? I see Dr. Stoddard unmuted, so.
Yeah, I wanted to make one additional comment because I think it's with AC Frank on, I wanted to recognize that he and I actually co-chair the Reimagining Public Safety Implementation Task Force. And, you know, I want to point out that the improvements that we've seen in crime across the county occur in the context of implementation of more than 400 recommendations that came from various places, law changes, things of that nature, to improve the community interactions that the public has with our police department, the performance and accountability. And so I think it's important that we take a moment to recognize that it is possible to see improvements in crime and reductions in violent crime, as we have seen, because of the hard work of our law enforcement officers and other public safety partners on the ground, while simultaneously improving transparency, accountability, and performance. And so I just want to take a moment to recognize that this is, you know, the County Executive Elrich came into his time as county executive wanting to make sure that we could address both of those issues. And I think what we are seeing now is real success moving forward, where our officers feel supported and respected on the ground, but they also are performing both in terms of reducing crime and doing so in a fair and equitable manner.
Thank you, Dr. Stoddard. Members of the media, once again, any questions for the Deputy Chief? No questions? Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I guess you can remain on this call, or you can depart if you need to. Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Mr. County Executive.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Frank, for being here today. I'm going to turn now to the White's Ferry Agreement. We marked a major milestone for our community last Friday with an agreement to transfer the White's Ferry property and assets into public hands. The county has agreed to purchase the riverfront property in Dickerson for $1.5 million. I want to extend a huge thank you to Chuck and Stacy Kuhn, who generously donated the ferry boats and the business assets valued at over $7 million to the county at no cost. Bottom line is the ferry and the landing property on the Maryland side of the river now belong to the people of Montgomery County. We know how vital this service is. For 240 years, this was the key link between Maryland and Virginia. Before it closed in 2020, it carried roughly 1,000 people and 600 to 800 vehicles every single day. And the economic impact of this crossing is somewhere up to $13 million in a year for our region. Our community has been without this service for 5 years now. This agreement is a big step yet toward restarting the ferry as a public service. We aren't at the finish line yet, though. We still need to restore landing rights in Loudoun County, which the county does not have the authority to acquire directly. We actually tried to acquire it directly, and we're told we couldn't. But with the ferry now under public control, we're working with our counterparts in Virginia to secure those rights and get this ferry running again. That involves being involved with the state over there and VDOT, which is their Department of Transportation. Everybody wants this thing open again, and hopefully this will happen in the coming months, now that we have a more cooperative government on the Virginia side. On Monday, I signed a bill expedited 2326 into law, and this is an update to the law we passed before, which is aimed at better protecting places where the community gathers. The Maryland Supreme Court recently clarified the limits of what counties can regulate, and this legislation brings our local code into compliance with that ruling. I want to thank Councilmember Don Lutke for working on this update and the council for its full support on this important measure. I also want to thank MCPD Chief Mark Yamada for his support of the new law. Complying with the court decision is not the same as changing our commitment to your safety. My goal remains exactly what it's always been, to everything we can legally do to reduce gun violence and protect our neighborhoods. While the bill adjusts our laws to avoid conflicts with state preemption, such as updating our definition of places of public assembly, and we're preserving every restriction we are still legally authorized to enforce. So we're maintaining the 100-yard safety zones around our schools, parks, libraries, and places of worship. These are places where our children learn and our families gather, and they must remain safe. We remain focused on the challenge of ghost guns. While our authority has been narrowed, we're still prohibiting the transfer of ghost guns without serial numbers to minors and ensuring that they're not left where a child can reach them. And that, by the way, applies to any gun. Montgomery County has long been a leader in common sense gun safety, and we're going to continue to use every legal tool available to protect our residents, especially our children and families. I want to go back to something we've talked about over the previous weeks, Viva White Oak, and we have an update again. I want to thank the County Council for its vote yesterday authorizing a $420 million in tax increment financing, otherwise known as TIF bonds, needed for the 280-acre Viva White Oak development to begin. Viva White Oak will transform East County and much needed homes, shops, offices, and life sciences facility will be able to come to this area. When fully built, it will include up to 5,000 homes and millions of square feet of commercial and office space next to the FDA headquarters and the White Oak Medical Center. The project will provide a major boost to the local economy and expand opportunities for life sciences sector while adding new amenities for residents. These TIF bonds will fund public roads, site cleanup, and other public infrastructure. They'll be repaid using the future growth in the tax revenue generated by the development. In other words, this is not general fund money, which comes from the taxes everybody pays. County Council previously approved the creation of the development district, and the new bill formally authorizes the issuance of bonds. In the short term, this project will generate thousands of construction jobs, 9,000 permanent jobs once completed. And I'm excited by this step in the process and hope to see the first round of financing be issued this fall. More difficult news, on July 27th, temporary protective status for Haiti officially ended. And for thousands of our neighbors in Montgomery County, that means the legal status that many have held over the last 16 years is gone. These are community members who fled a devastating earthquake, political unrest, massive gang violence, an incredibly corrupt and violent government. And they spent over 16 years building their lives here, raising families, working and paying taxes. Now they're being told that protection no longer exists and that they have to get back. I can't imagine being told that you have to leave the life you built here and take your family back to completely unsafe conditions. But that's exactly what the government is asking thousands of our neighbors to do. Montgomery County is home to a significant Haitian community, an estimated 5,000 residents countywide. A large share of them hold TPS status, parents, co-workers, caregivers, and neighbors whose futures are now very uncertain. What makes the decision even harder to accept is that it directly contradicts the U.S. government's own guidance. State Department continues to advise against all travel to Haiti, citing severe life-threatening risks, with large parts of the country under gang control. We cannot reconcile policy that tells people it's too dangerous to return while simultaneously stripping them of the status that lets them safely stay here in order to rapidly deport them. The United States has played a role in installing the various regimes of Papa Doc and his son Baby Doc, who imposed a violent, lawless dictatorship on the country for decades. Our support for the corrupt military helped make this mess possible. We've been a force for evil, not for good. Successive corrupt governments maintained an island marked by intense poverty and lawlessness. Sending people back to Haiti is essentially going to end up sentencing many Haitians to death, and we know it. Like so many other things revolving around the human condition, this administration, this government at the United States could care less, and that's a sad commentary on a country that seeks to be the beacon of the world. This decision, this doesn't affect individual families. It threatens our entire community's infrastructure. Haitian workers make up a critical part of our workforce in long-term health care, elder care, and disability services. Losing legal status for thousands of workers in these fields means Montgomery County families and vulnerable residents who depend on that care will feel the impact as well. We're grateful to our local organizations and faith communities who continue to demand justice for our Haitian neighbors, like the massive solidarity last night in Tacoma Park. Events like these show that Montgomery County will continue to advocate for immigration policies that are more just, policies that recognize the humanity, contributions, and safety of people like our Haitian neighbors, rather than uprooting them from the lives they've built here. If you or someone you know is affected by the end of Haitian TPS, please contact the Gilchrist Center to be connected with trusted providers, including organizations that can provide legal guidance and family stabilization services. Back to the better news. Locally again, I've always been a strong champion of Montgomery County's Ag Reserve because of the valuable resource, both economically and environmentally. Nearly 1/3 of the county's land, or 93 acres, is devoted to agricultural purposes. More than 580 farms and 350 cultural businesses, horticultural businesses, operate within the Ag Reserve, generating more than $280 million for the local economy. When you look at farm alcohol production alone, we've seen gross sales rise from 2.9 million in 2018 to 17 million in 2024. I want to thank our Maryland delegation and the state for the support of agriculture and the county council for moving forward with the Crossvines in Poolesville. Not only is it a fabulous destination for food and wine lovers, but also supports wine production for our local grape growers. And it's also an event center that can host celebrations or company retreats. Last weekend, many got a chance to visit some of those families and businesses that are part of the Ag Reserve through the annual farm tour and harvest sale. Self-guided tours gave families access to more than 24 local farms, wineries and breweries, distilleries, and orchards. This tour is one of the most fun things I get to do. While the event is free, it naturally leads to the kind of awareness and purchases that help family farms immensely. There are some of the farms that invite families year-round to pick their own produce, shop at their on-site markets, or relax and enjoy a beverage away from the traffic and noise of our metro areas. Carving out so much space for agricultural purposes also helps protect our regional water quality and allows wildlife habitats to thrive, giving our area the kind of balance that helps our environment. We're fortunate to be able to benefit from the foresight of county leaders when they decided more than 40 years ago now to take concrete steps to address climate change and limit the development of our farmland, which is paying off in so many different ways today. And speaking of our agricultural community, it's also a good time to mention that the County Ag Fair is just around the corner. This year, the festival is going to be in Gaithersburg, as usual, at the fairgrounds, and it runs Friday, August 14th to Saturday, August 22nd. You can get a small discount on tickets for this year's fair by purchasing them in advance. There's no admission charge for children under 11 and under, actually. And family day ride specials will be available on Monday, August 17th, and Wednesday, August 19th. Also, if you want to split the day, you can get your hand stamped at the gate and get back in later in the day without having to pay another ticket. Parking on site is going to be $20 a car, but free shuttles will be available from two of our closest Montgomery College campuses, the one in Rockville and the one in Germantown. So get ready to get a feel for the farm, enjoy the carnival, find a seat at the rodeo, or get a good look at the monster trucks during this year's 9 days of fun. And finally, on a nice feel-good story, if you're looking for an inspirational story, this is the one for today. Chris Williams, who calls Potomac home, landed back on Earth Sunday after 8 months on the International Space Station. He was a 2001 graduate from Montgomery Blair High School and then went to Stanford, MIT before becoming a NASA astronaut. Up there, he worked on research into new cancer treatments and helped develop better manufacturing techniques for high-performance computers and electronics. He also completed 2 spacewalks, one of which to fix a faulty joint on the station's robotic arm. This was his first mission, and he came home safe. Stories like this remind me why I care so much about giving MCPS students equal opportunities to chase their dreams and reach for the sky. You never know how far they'll go. We're proud of Chris's accomplishments and hope he returns home soon for some well-deserved rest. So before we go to questions, I'll give my staff a chance to add anything they want to add to this, and I'll start with the health team.
Good afternoon, Mr. County Executive. Nothing from me. The Department of Health and Human Services is looking forward to supporting our public safety partners in the National Night Out that's scheduled for Tuesday, August the 4th. I'll turn it over to Sean O'Donnell for his public health update. Sean?
Thank you, Dr. Bridgers. No updates from public health at this time. I'll turn it over to Dr. Stoddard if he has any additional updates.
I do not. Let's go to questions.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Members of the media, raise your hands if you have any questions for the county executive and other officials. I see Randy Heldreth from WUSA has her hand up. Good afternoon.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much. My question is for the county executive. I know at the beginning of July, you talked a little bit about wanting to add additional resources along the Potomac in light of the tragedies that we've seen with the drownings. I know that there's a search going on today. Just wanted to get an update on that.
I don't have anything to report yet. I know people are trying to figure out what else we can do to support it. We don't have the capacity to station people all along the river. So we're trying to figure out, what do we do? Do we need to put clearer warnings out than we already have? Do we need to take some places off limits and say you can't go there? Though it's questionable about whether we can do this because this is U.S. parkland. But people are trying to figure out what's within the realm of possibility to try to make people more aware that this is a serious, dangerous place, and it's not a place to go swimming in.
Thank you. Randy, no follow-up? You good? All right. Members of the media, any additional questions this afternoon? No more questions? Well, thank you so much for joining. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.